Tonight's headlines, a last-minute weekend war summit. U.S. officials concerned Saddam will strike first. Suspected kidnapper may have been after Elizabeth Smart's cousin also. And tonight, a Friday consumer alert about con artists out to sell you living trusts that could rob you of your life savings. If Saddam sets fire to his oil wells, these Texas firefighters could get the call. And for this senator, authorizing war with Iraq was very personal as his son.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
Good evening. Dan's off tonight. I'm Bob Schieffer. Well, what is the next step? President Bush, Prime Minister Tony Blair, and Spanish Prime Minister Jose Maria Anzar have decided to meet Sunday to try to answer that question. With U.S. forces already ready for war, but the UN Security Council split over whether to authorize an invasion of Iraq, the President and the Prime Ministers will hold an emergency summit in the Azores, the Portuguese island chain in the mid-Atlantic. We begin our coverage tonight with CBS News White House correspondent Bill Plant. Bill?
Bob, the summit in the Azores is a last-minute attempt to head off what looks to be an embarrassing defeat at the United Nations for the resolution backed by the U.S., Britain, and Spain, which would authorize war on Iraq. With U.S. and British troops on the Iraq-Kuwait border awaiting the order to attack, the President and the British and Spanish Prime Ministers will decide whether the resolution can be salvaged or will simply be withdrawn.
It is time to come to a conclusion that says to Saddam Hussein, it is time for you to disarm or be disarmed.
The President returns Sunday evening. The UN resolution is expected to be voted on or withdrawn by Tuesday. Unless there is a new extension of the deadline, Mr. Bush will then tell the nation and the world that he is issuing an ultimatum to Iraq: disarmament or war. After a week in which he was largely out of sight, the president emerged today to say that he would soon set out the long-promised roadmap for peace between Israel and the Palestinians.
We believe that all people in the Middle East, Arab and Israeli alike, deserve to live in dignity under free and honest governments.
The White House denied any connection between the Middle East announcement and the effort to win support for war on Iraq. But in London, British Prime Minister Blair frankly linked Middle East peace efforts to the looming war.
We accept that it is right now that we have to say to people that the issue of peace between Palestinians and Israelis is as important as any other issue to us.
The UN resolution on which the president is spending all this deadline energy is for the allies, Britain especially, who need it for political cover. Mr. Bush insists that he's already got the UN authority he needs to attack Iraq, even though another resolution might make war more acceptable to the rest of the world. Bob?
Bill Plant at the White House. Thank you, Bill. President Bush says replacing Saddam Hussein's dictatorship in Iraq with democracy could inspire democratic reform in other Arab countries, but the U.S. State Department apparently has concluded otherwise. A classified report obtained by the Los Angeles Times says, and we quote, "This idea that you're going to transform the Middle East by planting democracy in Iraq is not credible." For weeks now, the United States has been stepping up the intensity of air patrols over northern and southern Iraq, but today it took the biggest step yet. For the first time, the Air Force sent a B-1 heavy bomber to strike Iraqi radar sites in the southern no-fly zone. And that's just one sign that war may be only days away now. David Martin reports.
25 UN weapons inspectors leaving Baghdad today. The UN calls it a normal rotation, but U.S. officials say the weapons inspectors have begun to draw down their numbers in Iraq, even though President Bush has promised to issue a public warning so weapons inspectors and journalists can get out before the bombing starts. But officials are concerned Saddam Hussein will use that final warning as a signal to seize citizens of the U.S., Britain, and Australia, the three countries sending troops to the war, and hold them as hostages or human shields.
The hours between the president's final ultimatum and the start of the war could be the most decisive of the crisis. That's when Saddam has to decide whether to fight or give in, and if he decides to fight, that's when he might strike first by seizing hostages or using chemical or biological weapons.
No one can read Saddam's mind, but senior officials say there now appears to be at least a chance he will decide to go into exile. Pentagon officials say there is evidence family members of senior Iraqi leaders are already leaving the country, presumably with Saddam's knowledge and permission. In other words, he is allowing his most senior aides to pave the way for their own escape.
One Pentagon intelligence officer described the Iraqi leadership as very brittle, meaning it is likely to break under pressure. But Iraqi intelligence could very well be saying the same thing about the international coalition against Saddam. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Many of the tens of thousands of U.S. combat troops on the ground in Kuwait are only now getting their first hands-on experience with the most sophisticated new weapons in their arsenal. Report on that from John Roberts.
Marines in northern Kuwait practice with a fearsome new weapon. A missile that flies low over the battlefield until it senses armor, then fires straight down through the thinnest part of the vehicle.
Once it punches through the armor, it's just going to expand in a fireball, basically, inside the vehicle.
But the Marines discover a problem. Many of the missiles fly straight over smaller armored vehicles, the kind that would carry Iraqi troops without exploding. 50% of the shots on this day missed. But one battalion improvises a new aiming technique and hits 5 out of 5 targets. This shows why real-world training is so important with war looming. But troops complain with the extraordinary cost of new weapon systems, they don't get enough of it. At this nighttime exercise with the new Javelin system, Marines fired real missiles for the very first time. At $80,000 each, they've only trained on simulators until now. As war gets pushed back again, troops who were on hot standby venture back into the field for less costly maneuvers. They are lectured on how to minimize so-called friendly fire casualties.
The first thing you do is ensure that it is enemy and it's not somebody that's lost.
Commanders here can't tell these men when they'll go to war. They can only say it still appears likely one day soon they will go, and that they should treat every training opportunity like it's their last. John Roberts, CBS News, with the 2nd Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion in northern Kuwait.
Kurdish refugees in northern Iraq reported today that Iraqi troops have taken over the city of Kirkuk at the heart of Iraq's northern oil fields. The refugees say they've heard Iraqi soldiers are placing explosives at the oil wells. If that is true, Iraq could wind up looking like Kuwait after the last Gulf War. Bob McNamara reports.
If hell ever had a theme park, it could have been Kuwait, 1991. More than 600 oil wells set ablaze by Iraqis retreating the Gulf War.
It was unbelievable. You never think you'll see anything like this.
As much as 600 million barrels a day went up in poisonous clouds of smoke and soot. Environmental damage was catastrophic. Up against a nightmare never encountered, oil firefighting teams, led by several from Texas, were expected to take years to put out the infernos and cap the wells. But it was done in just 9 months.
It's just a fire coming out of a hole in the ground. And as long as there's pipe there, we can put something on it and stop it.
Get under it! Get under it, son! Today, Texas oil field firefighters are getting ready again. On standby for what could be the mother of all environmental battles, should a desperate Saddam torch Iraq's vast oil fields in the face of defeat.
The thing in Iraq will be the security, who you can trust, who you can't trust, if the Army's going to give us security along the way.
Only 3% of this country's imported oil comes from Iraq. But as war draws nearer, even the perception that Saddam might burn his own oil fields could be expensive.
Fears could propel prices again up to $45, $50 a barrel. That could put prices at the pump up to $2.5, $3.
Texas firefighting teams say if called, they could be in Iraqi oil fields in days, ready to douse danger and quickly cap concerns about gas prices reaching record highs. Bob McNamara, CBS News, Houston.
CBS News correspondent Bob Orr has learned of a possible terror threat to U.S. and British targets in East Africa. A government source there says there's been a significant uptick in intelligence about this in the past 36 hours. The source says that the threat is not against military forces and does not appear connected to the looming war. But there is concern about a possible surface-to-air missile attack against aircraft. Virginia Congressman Jim Moran was forced out today as a Democratic Party whip over a recent remark about Jews and a possible war against Iraq. Moran said last week the U.S. wouldn't be planning war without, quote, the strong support of the Jewish community. Moran has apologized for the remark, which he called insensitive. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, disturbing new details about Elizabeth Smart's alleged abductor.
Hey, Colin, what's with the toolbox?
We got work to do, Ragweed. We got to start her nose running and her eyes itching. Hey, we're allergens. It's what we do.
See that bottle of Allegra?
Oh, yeah?
It makes this job tough.
Oh, really?
Seasonal allergies live to make you miserable, but Allegra is specifically designed to block the histamine that triggers multi-symptom allergic responses, which may be why it's the #1 prescription antihistamine.
Some job you did. Does that look like suffering to you?
No, actually.
Allegra is for people 12 and over. Side effects are low and may include headache, cold, or back pain. Ask your doctor about Allegra.
Come on, let's go find someone we can really hammer.
Allegra, so much relief for so many symptoms.
In this place, I see a lot of gas. I also see a lot of folks taking medicines that don't fight gas. But Gas-X has the most powerful medicine to relieve gas fast. Nothing I've seen works faster. Gas-X beats the bloat fast.
$1 million smile, a string of stainless steel pearls, seats that make you feel like you're sinking into a warm leather bath, and enough room for the family purebred. It's my most decadent design yet. You lucky dog, you. My name's Harley Earl, and I've come back to build you a great car.
Buick, the spirit of American style.
They say to play the blues, you have to understand pain.
Oh, she hurts me so bad.
Diabetes can be very painful. Sticking my fingers, checking my blood sugar. It don't have to hurt.
Less pain, less blood. On your fingers or your arm. One Touch Ultra. Results in 5 seconds.
I can feel it way down in my shoes.
To play the blues, you want to feel it here, not here.
One Touch Ultra.
You've seen it before. There's the eye roll, the heavy sigh, the blank stare, and the ever-popular eye roll with the heavy sigh. But don't let that stop you from talking to your kids about not smoking, because it's not about their reaction here. It's about their reaction here.
Hey, do you want a cigarette?
No, thanks. Talk to your kids about not smoking. They'll listen, even if they don't show it.
A former Northwest Airlines flight attendant will be arraigned next week for allegedly spiking an infant's apple juice to stop her from crying. The former attendant is accused of putting the depressant Xanax in juice that he gave to a 19-month-old girl on a flight from Europe to Detroit. The child was not seriously injured. As Elizabeth Smart spent another day getting reacquainted with her own home and family, Salt Lake City police worked to fill in the gaps in the teenager's kidnap ordeal, and they wondered what they could have done differently. CBS News correspondent Jane Clayson is covering the Smart case.
The suspected kidnapper of Elizabeth Smart was known on the street as a self-appointed street preacher, practicing a fundamentalist form of Mormonism, including polygamy. So outside the mainstream, he was excommunicated by the church.
He appeared on the streets 3 years ago, and since that time, he's been known as the preacher man, and a lot of our homeless friends have just tried to avoid him.
Police sources say Brian Mitchell may have also tried to kidnap Elizabeth Smart's 18-year-old cousin a month after Elizabeth was abducted. As police pieced together Mitchell's activities during the 9 months of Elizabeth's absence, a story of missed opportunities emerges. The man who led Salt Lake City police in the search clearly regrets that the investigation was not more aggressive.
At the time, I thought I was making the best choice, but now in hindsight, I wasn't. And so absolutely I have regrets.
Mitchell's own family paints a picture of a man with few endearing qualities. Ex-wife Debbie Mitchell says she can easily imagine him brainwashing Elizabeth.
But inside our home, he was very controlling and very abusive.
Debbie Mitchell's daughter Rebecca says her stepfather traumatized her childhood.
Constantly hitting my mom, always beating her up. He molested me and my siblings for the entire time that they were married.
Mitchell's influence over Elizabeth appears to have been strong. Even when she was safe in the hands of police on Wednesday, she continued to insist she was part of Mitchell's family.
He says, "We think you're Elizabeth." She kept denying it. "My name's Augustine."
How many times did you ask her whether she was Elizabeth?
Probably 5 times myself.
Mitchell was actually in police hands twice during Elizabeth's kidnapping, in Salt Lake City on shoplifting charges and in San Diego for breaking into a church. In a court appearance shown on closed-circuit television, Mitchell implied Elizabeth was his daughter.
My wife and my daughter are staying with some friends presently in Lakeside, and I'll be there too.
The Deseret News is reporting tonight that Mitchell's wife, Wanda Barzee, told a friend that the couple had received a revelation from God. The revelation was that Mitchell should take 7 wives. Elizabeth was the first, suggesting that Mitchell wasn't finished. Bob?
Jane Clayson in Salt Lake City. There'll be much more on the Elizabeth Smart case on 48 Hours Investigates tonight at 10, 9 Central. Coming up next here, our Friday Consumer Alert, losing your life savings in a fraudulent living trust.
If you have acid reflux disease, you know about the burning pain of heartburn.
But there's something about acid reflux that I didn't know.
Over time, that acid churning up can wear away the lining of your esophagus. And even if your heartburn symptoms aren't severe, the damage can be.
I didn't know.
I didn't know.
I didn't know. Your doctor knows about the purple pill called Nexium. For many people, just one prescription Nexium a day provides complete 24-hour day and night heartburn relief.
Complete heartburn relief.
And Nexium can heal even severe acid reflux erosions. Other serious stomach conditions may still exist. The most common side effects of Nexium are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. So talk to your doctor and call this number for more information and a free trial offer from Nexium.
Relieve the heartburn, heal the damage. It's possible with the purple pill called Nexium.
Ensure
laughter,
ensure
tears,
ensure
life.
Millions of people are discovering Ensure. It gives you complete balanced nutrition when you can't have foods like these. Ensure, to your health.
I've got to get a new car.
I've got to get to my Lincoln Mercury dealer.
Think big at your Lincoln Mercury dealer's Think Big sales event, where you can get big incentives on every Lincoln and Mercury, including LS, Navigator, the new Lincoln Aviator, and Lincoln Town Car, with $4,000 cash back. That's $3,500 plus $500 sales event bonus cash for total customer cash back of $4,000. Think big now through March 31st at your Lincoln Mercury dealer.
So, you're back screaming, "Oh no!" Try a Thermacare heat wrap. 8 hours of heat to relax those tight muscles. So circulation flows in, helping pain flow out. Thermacare heat wraps. Wrap yourself in relief.
This is Model T20. He has cancer. This is Curious 901. She has cancer too. This is Malcolm W. His wife has cancer. This is the Cancer Survivors Network, a place where people can get together online to share information, get support, and get hope. This is the American Cancer Society. This is where to go for help.
If they look like your neighbors, they are. 1 out of 3 of our soldiers in the Gulf are weekend warriors. That story Sunday on 60 Minutes.
NASA is hoping to resume space shuttle flights maybe as early as this fall. An internal memo directs NASA teams to plan for quick action on safety recommendations made by the panel investigating last month's Columbia disaster. More and more Americans are putting everything they have into what are called living trusts as a way to avoid probate when they die. When property is set up by an expert, living trusts can do just that. But when pushed by smooth operating scam artists, they leave the victims broke. As John Blackstone reports now in tonight's Consumer Alert.
Eula Napier has a warning.
I got 3 or 4 bouquets of flowers.
Beware, she says, of a salesman bearing gifts.
Then another time I got some candy, and then the slab of smoked salmon.
It all came from a man selling living trusts, an increasingly popular way for many to arrange their finances.
It was a year when I found out that it was a scam.
Often, a living trust can be a more efficient and less costly alternative to a will, but scam artists are using living trusts to fleece the trusting.
We think 10,000 people were swindled in that way. And of course,
California's Attorney General says just one company, the Alliance for Mature Americans, took millions from the elderly.
At first, it seemed like we were on a very honorable mission.
George Hoffman worked briefly for the company and says clients were made to reveal everything in a financial questionnaire.
It was affectionately called a smoke sheet, and it was designed to smoke out the funds that these people had in their retirement plans and savings accounts and whatever.
The Alliance's own training film showed salesmen how to gather that confidential information.
We will draw up letters of instructions to your banks, brokerage houses, and financial institutions.
Armed with all the financial details, salesmen would pressure the elderly to invest with them.
We're going to call the one to come out and review your trust.
Such an Alliance salesman sent all the gifts to Eula Napier and talked her into moving her money into an annuity, where it simply disappeared.
It was a real good rate, but I never got a dime.
California's Attorney General closed down the Alliance for Mature Americans and in December won a $200 million settlement. George Hoffman testified against the company and its salesmen.
They see taking money from the seniors is far easier than doing something else like robbing banks.
The lesson that Eula Napier learned, if considering a living trust, be careful who you trust. John Blackstone, CBS News, San Francisco.
When David Towles died, he owned Sprint 12 cents, and for years the phone company has been hounding his widow until she finally gave Sprint his forwarding address. Just the other day, the bill actually arrived at his current residence, a cemetery in Auburn, Massachusetts. He still has shown no inclination to pay, but they are the phone company. Why don't they call him? Next on the CBS Evening News, a profile of courage. If war comes, he'll be among the first to fight, knowing his dad helped send him there.
Certainly.
It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do-what, 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 do-what.
Thanks for saving the spot, boys.
Now you can help manage your diabetes anytime, anywhere with Glucerna. Delicious bars and shakes that are clinically proven to help manage glucose levels. Try Glucerna. It's time for a taste of freedom.
Do you know how you measure up against osteoporosis? Do you know your T-score? Your T-score is a measure of your bone health, the result of a simple bone density test.
My T-score is negative 1.0. That's 10% below normal.
Mine is negative 2.0, 20% below normal.
The bigger that negative number, the lower your bone mass. If you have low bone mass, there are once-weekly treatments that can help reverse bone loss.
Do you know your T-score? I know mine.
Ask your doctor about your T-score.
Inside every can of Minwax is the secret to enhancing wood's natural beauty. Minwax rich wood stains and long-lasting protective finishes make it easy to turn any house into a beautiful home. Minwax makes and keeps wood beautiful.
Whiskas knows how to get your cat's attention.
Whiskas Tender Bites, tiny morsels lightly coated in gravy. They're the smaller bites with a big taste. Tender Bites from Whiskas.
When my gang eats out, it's 5 different stomachs, 5 different stomach problems. But we don't need 5 medicines. We just need one. Pepto-Bismol. For heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, nausea, and diarrhea. Think pink. Think Pepto.
Gotta go right now. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. Gotta go right now. Gotta go.
If you've always got to go, ask your doctor about Detrol LA. It's been proven effective for overactive bladder.
Anyone need a break?
Not right now.
You shouldn't take it if you have stomach, urinary, or glaucoma problems. The most common side effects are dry mouth, constipation, abdominal pain, and headache.
And I don't have to go right now.
Detrol LA. When you've...
Coming up on News Channel 5 at 6, TennCare as we know it is about to change big time. But how is that going to affect the people who need it? The story at 6.
Americans are living longer than ever. The most recent government figures out today show life expectancy for men has risen to 74.4 years, for women 79.8 years. In each case, that's an increase of about 37 days. A drop in cancer, heart disease, and stroke deaths gets much of the credit. The United States now has 250,000 men and women in uniform within striking distance of Iraq. But only one is the son of a U.S. senator who voted to let President Bush send him to war. Joey Chen has his story in tonight's Profile of Courage.
Sergeant Brooks Johnson likes to say he's just one more soldier in the Army's 101st Airborne. One more soldier who may lead the way into Iraq.
Thank you from all of us in the 101st.
He's also one of a kind, the only enlisted member of the U.S. military who has a parent serving in Congress.
We could joke about it in our family that public service is kind of wired into the genes.
He doesn't see this as being more patriotic than someone else or being a better person than someone else. He sees it as a difficult job. Someone has to do it, and he chooses to do it.
In the senator's generation, family ties were a way to get out of combat duty. Brooks Johnson wanted in. He left high school before his cap and gown ceremony to train for the Marine Reserves, then left college because he wasn't seeing enough action as a reservist, and joined the Army.
He's in Kuwait now. This is his 4th war in 5 years.
A father's pride and a senator's dilemma, because it is his vote that helped put his son in harm's way. Last fall, Senator Johnson voted in favor of giving President Bush the power to send the military, including Brooks Johnson, to war in Iraq.
There's a strong possibility that I may be voting to send my own son into combat. Certainly one of the most important votes I could cast as a father.
For my father, that it is definitely a reality that who he's sending off to go to these conflicts.
Sergeant Johnson knows it wasn't an easy vote to cast.
I think mixed feelings perhaps about this vote. I think it's a very complicated issue. I think perhaps it gave too much power to one man.
That one man, of course, is the president, and it's a soldier's job to serve his commander-in-chief.
I think it was George Patton who once said, I'm an American soldier and I fight where I'm told and I win where I fight. And that is what we'll continue to do.
A sense of duty on the road to service. A soldier's sergeant, a senator's son. Joey Chen, CBS News, Washington.
And that's the news. Sunday on Face the Nation, our guest will be Vice President Dick Cheney. Later tonight, 48 Hours Investigates has the latest on the Elizabeth Smart case. Bob Schieffer in New York. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, go to cbsnews.com. AOL keyword CBS News. This is CBS.
From your news and information leader. This is News Channel 5 at 6.
Good evening, everyone. TennCare as we know it is about to change.
Governor Bredesen says it's the only way to get the state's budget problems under control, and there must be cuts to the program. The question is, what will be cut and who will it affect? News Channel 5's Ben Hall talked to people paying close attention.
Hercules dog.
He looks like a perfectly healthy 24-year-old.
But the prescription drugs around his house reveal that Brett Lano is dealing with epilepsy. He suffers about 2 seizures a week.
It's a disorder that can be hard to deal with.
You can't run this dog to death.
He was on TennCare, but when he got a job, he lost the TennCare. His job's insurance wouldn't cover his epilepsy because it's a pre-existing condition. Now he has no coverage for his epilepsy, and TennCare won't let him back in the program.
This was $2,777.89.